Oh my goodness, see what I did there? I had neglected to put up the title slide first. Oh my goodness, see what I did there? Sorry about that. Let's put the title slide first. Oh my goodness, see what I did there? Hang on, let's get that muted and let's go over here so you can see what we're talking about. So this is what we're talking about. Avoid these 4 bad habits of bad podcasters. Again, we're talking about avoiding these 4 bad habits of podcasters. My name is Evo Terra. Thanks for joining me here on the live stream as I give you a behind-the-scenes look of how the sausage is made. And if not the sausage, how Podcast Pontifications is made. Podcast Pontifications is a weekly podcast about podcasting. It's for advanced, serious, working podcasters who want to get better at the craft of podcasting. I do it 4 days a week, and for a handful of people who like to watch it live, I do it live on the video. I do it live on the video because being live on video is better for me. My energy level increases. I feel like I'm more engaged. I'm turned on. Whatever word you want to use. That's why I do it with the video camera. And honestly, it doesn't matter if people are watching or not. It just really energizes me so that the final product, which is a podcast episode, audio only, as well as an article that I rewrite every word that I'm going to say here in a minute, and I write that out there. Both of those things are made much better when I am talking into a camera as opposed to when I am talking to a wall. It's just a weird way that my brain works. You know, I'm much better on stage than I am, or in a crowd, than I am alone. And not everybody's brain works that way. Mine certainly does. So, do what your brain wants you to do. And my brain says, do this in front of a live audience. So even if there's not one, I feel like there's one. I can pretend that there is one when the little light around my camera is on. So this is what you get. Today's topic is going to be, as just mentioned, avoiding these bad habits of bad podcasters. Because, we develop habits, and sometimes they're good, but oftentimes they're not good. Sometimes they're flat out bad. And we want to not do the bad things as much as we can not do the bad things. So that's what I'm going to talk about here on this episode today. Right. Part of the live stream experience is getting to hear all of the phlegm leave my throat as I drink my ginger drink. The phlegm has been pretty bad the last few days, so I decided to switch up to the ginger to see how that works. So hopefully that that actually will improve as I get going here today. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any housekeeping items before I get started with the actual show. Oh, also, if you do happen to watch this on the live stream, look, this is just the warm-up act, right? The actual edited podcast doesn't contain this stuff. The transcript, which will come out of this, doesn't contain this stuff. And, of course, none of what I'm talking about right now makes it into the article. The article is going to be, and the episode is going to be, and the transcript is going to be completely about avoiding these 4 bad habits of bad podcasters. So, just so you know how that whole thing works. Again, I was trying to see if there were any housekeeping items. I don't think there are. Nope, no housekeeping items whatsoever. So I'm just going to get started. This is a little on the shorter side, I think. Some of the episodes I've been doing as of late have been pretty heavy as far as density. Lots of things in there. So this one's a little bit not lighter. It's still a very important and important content, but maybe more actionable, more takeawayable. I mean, as I list out these 4 bad habits of bad podcasters. So I don't know. We'll see how it works. Okay. Let's see. Let's get over here. Slide some things over. The way I do this is I have a Google Doc open with all of my outline. I have my cold open, which I'm going to read to you out loud. And then I'm going to do the episode. So first off, let's read the cold open. Oh, I should scroll this down a bit. I said down a bit. Move down here. Boom. Toom, toom. It's hard to predict. It's hard to predict. It's hard to predict. It's hard to predict which podcaster will be successful, but it's fairly easy to see who won't make it for long just by looking at their actions or inactions. Here are some bad habits for you to avoid. That's what we're going to do. How's that cold open? Okay. That's good. We get over there. We get up there. By the way, there is a chat stream. If you are watching this live and you drop me a chat, I will see it in a few minutes when I come back. I'm going to go through this entire outline. I'm only looking at the chat room because that's a live stream, not a podcast recording. And this is a podcast recording. So here we go. I need to pull up QuickTime. QuickTime right there. Last little sippy. And away we go. It's hard to predict which podcaster will be successful, but it's fairly easy to see who won't make it for long just by looking at their actions or inactions. Here are some of the bad habits for you to avoid. No, I don't want to do it that way. Do that again. Here are some of their bad habits. It's hard to predict which podcaster will be successful, but it's fairly easy to see who won't be in it for the long haul just by looking at their actions or inactions. Here are some of their bad habits for you to avoid. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. Look, it's no secret to any podcaster who's been in the game for any length of time that, you develop some bad habits over time. Some are just muscle memory, if you will, that comes from the act of podcasting with dozens of episodes, maybe over months or years. And not all of these habits are good. At least not if you want to really become a much better podcaster. If we look at this from the opposite direction, there are some bad podcasters out there. Podcasters with just bad shows, if you will. And they tend to accumulate some of these bad habits. Bad habits you should probably avoid. So here are 4 bad habits of bad podcasters for you to avoid. Number 1, bad podcasters don't listen to their own shows. It's kind of important to do, but you'd be surprised, or at least I am surprised, at the number of people who do not listen to their own episodes once they've been developed. Now, if you're feeling called out, I'm calling you out. Yeah, it's a reality, right? I know you've listened to that episode you've built a lot over the 4 hours or 40 hours you spent developing. You listened to it a lot. But I am still telling you, if you do not take your phone out with your headphones plugged in or attached via Bluetooth and walk around listening to the final completed proof episode, there's room to improve. You'll learn things from doing that. Habit number 2. Bad habit number 2. Bad podcasters don't respond to their listeners. Look, no one owes you anything. I know that you just put your blood, sweat, and tears into your episode, but no one owes you anything. So, if someone does take the time to email you, leave a comment for you, a review, or even reshare your content socially, acknowledge that person. Acknowledge in kind, if at all you can. Make that a habit to always respond to all of your outreach from clients, anything that they talk back to you about. Set up alerts if that helps you do that. At a bare minimum, keep your little notification icons zeroed or as close to 0 as you can possibly get. Don't leave your listeners who've said nice things about you hanging. Number 3, bad podcasters invest more in gear than they do content. Now, I see this all the time with newbie podcasters talking about, I just spent $3,500 on gear, but I have no idea what to talk about. As I've said, the best mic and the best equipment you can use for podcasting is the equipment you already own and know how to use properly. because a $3,000 Neve preamp isn't going to help you during the ideation phase. Not at all. And yes, quality of audio is super important. But it's not nearly as important as being able to tell great and compelling stories on a consistent basis. Number 4, bad podcasters have production schedules that mirror their release schedules. Get ahead. Like really ahead, weeks or months, but just get ahead of your release schedule. When you aren't ahead, you're shoveling lots of jobs into the same time slot. And yes, I know Parkinson's law applies. That's the law that says work expands to fill the time allotted for it. But also, stress applies, and it is stressful to be producing content that you're releasing a day or two later, or an hour or two later, like me. So I sort of give myself a pass on this, but I probably shouldn't. It's not like I'm covering daily news or anything too terribly breaking here. So maybe I'm going to change that. Maybe I'll change that after my long winter's nap coming up in a few weeks. If it's very likely that you have one or more of these bad habits. Now, I don't think that having one or more or even all of these habits necessarily makes you a bad podcaster. It means that you, like me, share some habits with bad podcasters. And we both need to be aware of that and possibly make some adjustments. Let's do some quick thank yous. Matt Medeiros of the podcast Matt Report, and also from Castos, the podcast hosting company, figured out how to use Twitter, their new feature, to send me some cash and a message of, I refuse to tip more until I can be tipped, Matt says. And apparently the rollout for Twitter hasn't made it as far as Twitter would have liked it to be, but I'm confident that it's coming eventually. Sorry about that, Matt. And also a quick shout out to all of you who've been sharing my Twitter threads or on my episodes. I see that quite a lot. Now, I do like to say thank you publicly, but in case I missed anyone, because sometimes they've been coming in fast and furious, I apologize. I'll try and get better with that. Thank you very much. That also is a great way to give some value back for the value you received by resharing the information. Or, if you'd like to, the best way to give value for value is by going to podcastpontifications.com/support. Lots of ways in there that you can provide some value back to the show. Even real money accepted now, too. That's it. I shall be back tomorrow with yet another Podcast Pontifications. Cheers. Stopped that recording. And I have stopped that recording. We are still streaming. Okay, enough of the riot singing, Evo. Hey, look, if you were just now tuning in to the episode live streaming, you've missed it. And while you could back up 13 minutes and 25 seconds to watch the whole thing, you don't need to. There was only about 7 minutes of 30 seconds worth of the real deal content. So, if I may be so bold as to suggest, go to podcastpontifications.com. Click the button that says subscribe. That will take you to a spot where you drop in your email address. Here's what'll happen. At 10 o'clock in the morning today, Phoenix time, that's 10 a.m. Pacific time, you will get an email with an article, a whole lot of words, 1,000 words or so that I just said out loud, but I will rearrange them so that they actually read nicely. I'm not just dumping out a transcript. You will get an article from me, emailed to you directly. There it is. All the important words that I just said in those 7.5 minutes will be there in a nice order for your eyeballs to enjoy. You will also get a link to the podcast episode so you can click and listen without all of this stuff at the end and all the stuff I talked about up front. Just the real meat of the show finally finalized and produced, ready to go. That's how you can enjoy listening. And of course, hey, you're a podcaster, so whatever you use, whatever your tool of choice is to access the casts of the pods, guess what? We're there. And by we, I mean me. The show is there. Just search for Podcast Pontifications. Can't miss it. If you need some new apps, if you go to podcastpontifications.com, I've got a list of some of the apps that are new and exciting that do some kind of cool stuff up there. So that's it. Enjoy your day. Be well. We'll do this again tomorrow. Okay? Okay. Bye.